We all have our favorite television shows. We watch them loyally, learn to care about the characters, and can often quote lines from our favorite episodes.
Danny Phantom!
True! I'm Going Ghost is one of my favorites.
I just like when he says Danny Phantom.
But nothing in life lasts forever, like Danny Phantom.
He died?
I mean, he technically died at the beginning of the series.
Oh my god.
But nothing in life lasts forever, and whether they end on their own accord or lose popularity and are canceled, the shows we love go away.
They go ghost.
Oh.
This is what it feels like.
In the past, this usually meant we said our goodbyes and watched our reruns in syndication or on video. Or Blu-ray, get with the times. Or digital, get even more with the times.
Says you literally read in the past.
We would hope for a reboot or a continuation only for it to never get those hopes fulfilled. But now, shows that are gone may be resurrected on another network or streaming platforms. Some shows have had successful relaunches. Star Trek came back with Star Trek The Next Generation. Netflix brought back the Gilmore Girls and Full House. Psych returned with a made-for-TV movie, with another one on the way. The Twilight Zone has had several high-quality reboots, the latest of these on CBS. All Access is run by Jordan Peele.
No, wait.
And cult favorite Veronica Mars even came back in a crowd-funded movie, which met its financing goal of $2 million in 11 hours. Yes, you didn't like that. What usually happens, though, is a show comes back or is rebooted with a different cast, is never able to capture the magic that it once had. Not Power Rangers. The list of shows that have failed to recreate what was originally made them great is long. Heroes, 24, Arrested Development, The X-Files, and Will and Grace have all attempted comebacks that left fans wanting more. Star Trek has had many revivals, considered by most to be of the diminishing quality. Even Veronica Mars was granted a new, updated run on Hulu, only to have fans generally disappointed by what they were given. It's natural that we would love to see our favorite shows return, and there's always talk or rumors about certain ones that could be making a comeback. Except Friends, it's never gonna happen, guys. Just give up hope. But just because you can, doesn't mean you should do a reboot. So, let's take a look at shows that we'd like to see come back, but probably shouldn't. And possible spoilers ahead, so be warned. I'm Tristan with OkayThankYou, and I don't normally read the intro.
And I'm Mike with OkayThankYou, and how was that?
And these are shows that that shouldn't
Here
come back.
Shows. Firefly. Why we love it. Let's just get the big one out of the way first. Every time a story or list of shows that went away too soon or should come back is done, Firefly is always on it.
Isn't that the truth?
There's a reason for that. Joss Whedon's space western was amazing. Perfectly cast and acted, well written, great characters, a mashup of genres. It had everything.
Except a second season.
Even though it was originally aired out of order and only 11 of the 14 episodes were broadcast, it got a second life on video. It was a cult classic, even before it was canceled. And fans were, to put it mildly, angry when it was gone.
That is mildly.
Those same fans never gave up and developed a fandom for Firefly that still goes on today.
Don't let the light go out.
They were vocal and tried to get the show back any way they could. So many plot points and threads were left with no answers that they just couldn't let go. Universal bought the rights and gave Joss Whedon the go-ahead to continue the story in the feature film Serenity.
Why it shouldn't come back. The movie tied up the important storylines, and what wasn't answered has lived on in comics. And let's face it, while the film was wonderful, the ending was a gut punch. While fans loved getting to see their heroes returned, I'm not sure we could handle all the sad again. The cast has grown, and with those who would not be returning, the vibe would be all wrong now. If you were to reboot the universe, you'd have to do so by making the original cast some sort of legendary figures to a new, current cast. But then it wouldn't really be Firefly, and if we're honest with ourselves, none of us want that. The West Wing. Hopefully we're not going to get spoilers because I'm still watching it. Why we love it.
Good luck.
Yeah. Many critics and fans alike consider The West Wing to be one of, if not the best drama in the history of television. Well, that's Better Call Saul, but whatever.
Oh.
At one time holding the record for the most Emmy nominations and wins. No matter personal opinions, Aaron Sorkin's political-based series that followed the members of the Bartlett administration's senior staff as they navigated the daily stresses of life in the White House was groundbreaking.
And navigated the halls of the White House.
Hey, I love Aaron Sorkin so much. Spot-on humor during the walk-in talks
Nailed it.
complemented serious drama in ways that gave the viewer a kind of reverence for the responsibilities of those that run the United States.
No, they're not very responsible now.
No, they're not that responsible now. It painted political figures as real people first, as opposed to the caricatures they are now. And even though we may not agree with certain political perspectives, we understood why they believed and fought for what they believed made this country great.
Why it shouldn't come back.
Uh-oh.
It was a different time in the world when The West Wing aired.
True.
There was still an idea that you respected the office of the President of the United States.
I thought we weren't getting political anymore. Go on.
Even though you may not agree with the man.
Go on.
What are you doing? This is happening. No. This is happening, Robin. You scroll. I do not agree with that man. Sadly, those days are really gone. There is very little respect for the presidency or...
I guess this is happening.
There's very little respect for the presidency or our elected officials now.
Well, that's true.
Even though Sorkin, who created the show, is known to have a decidedly Democratic bent, Republicans and Democrats were generally treated equally. Bartlett, a Democrat, wasn't portrayed as infallible, and in fact had many faults. Many Republicans were portrayed as honorable and well-intended. But our country is very divided now, more so than it has been in any of our lifetimes. And a show like this just couldn't work in this environment. Friends. Why we loved it. Pretty much everybody loved Friends.
Unless you're trying to be cool.
Running for 10 seasons in the late 90s and early 2000s, Friends was easily the biggest show on television. Audiences fell in love with Monica, Chandler,
Yay.
Rachel, Joey, Phoebe, and Ross.
Oh, yeah.
The will they or won't they relationship of Ross and Rachel, Joey always looking for his big break, Monica and Chandler forming an unlikely love. People were hooked. I guess suck it, Phoebe. We sang Smelly Cat. We asked if the show could get any more popular, and we would always ask people, how you doing? It was a representative piece of what we loved about the 90s.
And
Did
now...
that wrong. Hang on.
Okay.
How you doing? It's a little better.
And now why it shouldn't come back. At this point, although it's one of the most popular streaming titles in the world, it's a relic of its time.
Yeah.
There would in no way be as much love for a show about a group of white friends in Manhattan with amazing apartments who rarely seem to work and seem to have the best seat at a trendy coffee house, always reserved just for them. There is a little reserved sign on the thing. Just saying. We know the actors behind the characters too well now, and it would be very hard to accept them in those roles again. As much as it could give everyone those nostalgic feels again, the effect would be temporary, and it wouldn't be the show we remembered. Every time I rewatch Friends, I focus on a new character, and
Sure.
that character becomes my new favorite, but I think Rachel is the funniest character on the show.
Chandler is still my favorite, and always will be.
David Schwimmer, though, I know people have problems with Ross, but David Schwimmer just does too good of a job as Ross for me to hate the character.
Ross is the biggest one. Why doesn't he just eat the other friends?
Why does he not simply eat the other 5? Seinfeld. Why I should watch it. Seinfeld may have been the most quote-worthy show ever to grace television screens. They set out to make a show about nothing, and actually pulled it off. Congratulations. It was a self-aware slap in the face to the sitcom format in a time when the sitcom was king. It was about a group of people so flawed and uncaring about the people around them that we couldn't help but laugh. And then It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia happened. While the final episode was a complete disaster and utter letdown, the quality and consistency of the comedy for 9-season run more than made up for it. And that's it. It more than made up for it.
Why it shouldn't come back.
Because apparently the ending was a disaster.
These people were awful. Jerry, George, Elaine, and Kramer may have been funny, but they were terrible people. They're older now, and you would think they would be wiser. If they were, that takes away from the biggest comedy element of the show. And if they came back after all these years and were no wiser at all, then they would just come off as pathetic. Either way, the tone of the show would be thrown off, and it just wouldn't be funny. Better to just let them sit in that jail cell and remember the good old days.
Oh my god, did Seinfeld just get spoiled for me?
Yes. Very last episode.
Oh my goodness.
Very last episode, yes.
Huh.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Why we loved it. Spawned from the success of Will Smith's first hit, Parents Just Don't Understand, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was a smart and refreshing fish out of water story. Smith's charm and charisma, coupled with his comic timing, made the show a must-see. It was more than a sitcom aimed at urban audiences, as it would have been referred to then. It was a show with heart that attempted to change the understanding of the evolving normal for African Americans as the 80s gave way to the 90s. There were lots of sitcoms that portrayed African American families in a new, more realistic and grounded way at that time, as a result of the popularity of The Cosby Show. But The Fresh Prince was different. Smith's character was actually a metaphor for the change that was being felt in how the African American family was perceived. And it was wonderful.
Well, now let's talk about why it shouldn't come back. Of all the shows on this list, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air could be the best one to see a comeback. The show originally had a way of combining sensitive topics and comedy in ways that were both powerful and entertaining. We could certainly use a show like that today. The reason it shouldn't come back is simple. Will would have to transition to the role of patriarch once held by Uncle Phil, and a new Fresh Prince would have to arise. That'd be tough. When it first aired, the country was a place of hope and possibilities. Uh-oh. People were excited about the future, and we were optimistic about what it could be. Oh my goodness. That's not the world we live in now. Way to remain optimistic, people. A reboot of the show would feel as out of place as the Fresh Prince did when the first day he was dropped off at Uncle Phil's doorstep. So, what shows do you wish would come back, but also know probably shouldn't? Let us know in the comments below, or tweet your answers to us at OkayThankYou. I saw your outline of this list, Robin and Matthew, and I know some lists that got cut. One was Avatar: The Last Airbender. Totally agree.
I mean, did it kind of come back with? I mean, it continued. Does that count?
Legend of Korra, I don't think really counts.
But doesn't it continue the story in a way?
It continues in the comics and whatnot.
But there's been a lot of people who believe that there was a proposed book 4 that wasn't made, which holds no truth.
It doesn't hold any truth.
I wrote it.
And the creators always intended it to be a 3-season arc. Mm-hmm. And bringing it back just...
I wrote book 4, and it's all about Sokka's boomerang.
Sokka's an underrated character.
Is he though?
Yes.
He's my favorite. Is
yeah,
he really
but
underrated?
People always actually say that Sokka is useless.
What?
Yeah,
Why?
I've watched the show many times for the first time with different people, and they always say, why is Sokka even there?
Hashtag Soka love, right? Am I right, guys?
The other one I saw was on there was Drake and Josh. Drake and Josh could come back at any time for like a reunion movie. Drake and Josh was cool. Danny Phantom should come back, and there's no reason why it shouldn't.
Because he's dead.
Okay. Anyways, all of our social media can be found in the description. Don't forget to check out our Patreon for some okay-ish rewards. They're decent. Wednesday live streams now come with the ability to call in and talk with us directly, because we all know you want to do that. Or you can always just leave a voicemail.
Where?
At 573-575-OKTY.
All right.
You know what OKTY can also be phrased as?
Okay, thank you.
6589.
That's not your...
Well, it's phrased like that now.
That's not...
Accept it.
That's not what that means.
Accept it.
You'll eventually get it, buddy.
I'm not going to get it. That's part of the humor.
Oh, that was on purpose?
Yeah, totally on purpose.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Oh, one more thing.
All right.
If you are looking for a place to fill in the hole left by Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Kim's Convenience is pretty good.
I don't know that one.
It's a Netflix show.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually a Canadian show that Netflix picks up for America.
It's still... Okay.
United States. Oh, thank you.